Interpretivism. What's it all about? Well, if interpretivism was a high school clique, it would probably be the artsy, creative kids. And in this video, we're going to take a closer look at it. If we've not met before, hi, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I've spent the last 20 years supporting graduate students through their dissertations. And in that time, students have asked me a lot of questions about paradigms, about theoretical frameworks and all of that kind of stuff, because so much of the literature out there about these things is completely impenetrable. So if you feel confused by it, if you feel completely bewildered and overwhelmed by it, be assured that you are not alone. So let's ditch the confusion and make it as simple as possible. This video is part of a series that I'm making that is all about paradigms, and my intention is to just demystify them and make them easy to understand, because I'm of the view that they're not actually as complicated as a lot of people make them out to be. I'll put a link on the screen right now that takes you to the playlist containing all of the videos. So in the first video, I start off by looking at what are paradigms and dealing with some of the definitions and some of the terms that we use around paradigms. And then in the following videos, I go on to look at different paradigms. So I look at positivism, interpretivism, hence this video, and lastly, critical realism. So if you want a bit of a crash course on paradigms, go and binge watch all of those. If you're thinking about using an interpretivist paradigm in your research, drop a comment underneath. Tell me about it, because I would love to hear more about your research. What are you studying? Who are you studying? What is it about this topic that really lights you up? Seriously, I'm all ears, and I read and reply to every single comment that we receive on this channel, so drop yours underneath. In the first video of this series, I covered all of the basics about paradigms, so I'm not going to regurgitate all of that right now, but I think it is helpful to have a quick recap. So I always describe paradigms as research cultures, as particular ways of approaching research, as particular ways of thinking about research. And I always compare them to high school cliques who've all got their own ways of seeing the world, their own ways of thinking, their own ways of doing things, and their own ideas about what's important and what's not important. The positivists, they are like the science geeks focusing on the hard facts and the objective truths. The interpretivists, who we're going to look at in this video, they are like the artsy, creative crowd, and they are interested in people's stories and people's experiences. Critical realists are like the activist kids in high school, the social justice warriors, and they're all about digging deeper into the issues that they're passionate about. So these social research paradigms, they all see different things when they look at the social world. It's kind of like putting on different pairs of glasses that have got different lenses in them. They all have different ideas about the best way to do research within the social world. It's almost like different forms of transport or different routes that people might take, essentially different ways of getting to the answers. And when we think about the different glasses that people wear that have different lenses, and when we think about the different forms of transport and routes that people might take, essentially what we're talking about there is ontology and epistemology. Now these are super important concepts when it comes to understanding paradigms, so let's have a quick look at them. Ontology is all about answering the what question, and it involves getting to grips with what exactly it is that we're studying when we're looking at the social world. And when we look at that social world through those specific sets of lenses that we have in our glasses, what do we see? Do we see the social world as relatively fixed and independent? It's something that just exists, regardless of whether we're there to see it or not. That would be a realist stance. Or do we see it as something fluid and changeable, something that we have an active role in constructing? If so, that's a social constructivist approach. Epistemology, on the other hand, is all about the how question. How do we go about studying that social world? How do we make sense of it? How do we get there? What form of transport do we take? Are we positivists seeking to explain things and identify what caused them, focusing on being objective and collecting empirical evidence? Or do we take an interpretivist approach where we're focused on understandings and meanings, emphasising subjectivity and the importance of context and perspective? Now, just a quick side note, epistemology covers a spectrum, with positivism at one end and interpretivism at the other. But they're also names that are given to social research paradigms. Positivism is a paradigm, it's also an epistemology. Interpretivism is a paradigm, and it's also an epistemology. Yeah, the joys of academia, right? But they go together, so they're easy to remember. The positivist paradigm adopts a positivist epistemology, and the interpretivist paradigm adopts an interpretivist epistemology. Okay, so let's get into the details of interpretivism. But before we dive in, if you are finding this video helpful so far, please take the time to give it a thumbs up, because that makes a massive difference in helping other people find it too. So, interpretivism. Interpretivism, much like the artsy creative high school clique, brings a unique perspective to the research scene. It emphasises subjective meanings and individual experiences. Now, that term subjective meanings, what does that mean? It refers to the personal thoughts and the feelings that people have about their experiences. And those thoughts, those feelings, they all come from people's individual experiences of life, their own unique points of view. And they're going to vary from one person to the next, because no two people have had exactly the same experience of life. What makes one person really sad might make another person really happy. So take, for example, having plans for a night out cancelled. Now, as a diehard introvert, I'm often quite happy when that occurs. But if you're somebody who's a massive extrovert who really kind of loves going out and partying and spending time with other people, that's how you get your energy, you're likely to be quite disappointed when your plans get cancelled. Going out partying has never really been my jam, but other people really love it. We're all different, and that's fine. So let's take a look at those key principles of interpretivism. Firstly, ontology. Secondly, epistemology. Now, in terms of ontology, for interpretivists, reality is like this canvas that is sitting there waiting to be painted with individual interpretations and personal meanings. Unlike the positivist view of the social world as relatively fixed, stable and consistent, interpretivists see it as this dynamic, ever-changing piece of artwork, shaped by the diverse perspectives of individuals. They see the social world kind of like an art exhibition, where each painting tells a different story, reflecting the unique experiences and interpretations of the artists. So that's an interpretivist ontology. That's what they see when they look at the social world. Now let's look at epistemology. Now remember, this is about how you approach studying that social world, how you go about making sense of it. So imagine that you're studying a painting in an art gallery. If you're a positivist, what you might want to do is take that painting and examine it under a microscope. You might try to dissect its colours, its shapes, its composition, in order to explain how it was created, what techniques were used. You'd be interested in the brushstrokes, in the pigments. You'd want to know about the artistic processes that led to that final masterpiece. You'd want to uncover the underlying causes and the mechanisms behind its creation. Now, on the other hand, if you're an interpretivist, your study of the painting would involve kind of immersing yourself in its beauty. You'd want to explore the emotions and the stories and the meanings that that painting evokes. You're less concerned with analysing the technical elements of the painting. You're more interested in trying to get to grips with the artist's intentions and with the cultural context in which it was created. You'd also be interested in the diverse ways in which audiences interpret the painting and what it means to them. Interpretivists really care about how people feel and how people connect. They love digging into the deep meanings that are hidden in symbols and feelings and stories. And to do this, they use methods that help them get to grips with how people think and how people feel. So this might involve things like in-depth interviews, ethnographic studies, really taking the time to connect with people and walk in their shoes. This helps them explore how different people think and feel about the thing that they're studying. Interpretivists also spend quite considerable amounts of time with the people that they're studying. And they do this because they want to understand their culture. They want to understand what makes them special and unique. Interpretivism really challenges the idea of a concrete objective reality. It celebrates the diversity of human experiences and interpretations. Like the artsy high school clique, interpretivists really embrace subjectivity. They love creativity and the rich tapestry of the human experience. So whilst positivists focus on uncovering laws and processes and patterns, interpretivists are more interested in that colourful, diverse palette of the human experience. And whilst positivists will very often position the researcher as the expert, the interpretivists take a bit of a different approach to this. Interpretivists see the participants as the experts. Interpretivists place a really high value on the insights, on the experiences that participants bring to the research process. The participant is the expert, and instead of imposing their own interpretations of the world onto any data that they collect, interpretivists really want to try and see the world through the eyes of their participants. They acknowledge the expertise of their participants in navigating their way through various social and cultural contexts. So the participants essentially act as guides to the researchers. They show them the way. It's kind of a bit like Yoda and Luke Skywalker. Now let's take a look at an example of some interpretivist research from the social sciences. David Snow and Leon Anderson conducted a really interesting study, which was published in the American Journal of Sociology. And this study was called Identity Work Among the Homeless, the Verbal Construction and Avowal of Personal Identities. Now, I'll put the link in the description if you want to download it and read it yourself. It's a really fascinating piece of research. So essentially, this study offers a compelling example of an interpretivist approach to social science research, particularly in the context of studying homelessness. So essentially what Snow and Anderson did was they carried out an ethnographic study. So they didn't look at numbers or data from a distance. Instead, they jumped right into the community. They used qualitative methods like talking to people and observing their lives to essentially explore the personal experiences of being homeless. And by doing this, they gained valuable insights into how people shape their identities and how people find meaning in challenging circumstances. They spent time with people, they listened to people's stories, they got to know them, they got to know how they find strength and dignity, even in very tough situations. And they wanted to really capture what life was like for this group of people. They wanted to learn about people who are homeless. They wanted to learn about how they saw themselves, how they express their feelings and their experiences, especially since these people are very often overlooked or marginalised by society. And this focus on exploring individuals' lived experiences fits perfectly with the interpretivist paradigm. Because as I've already said, the interpretivist paradigm is all about seeing things through the eyes of your participants, trying to understand what it's like to have those experiences as them. Because this paradigm highlights how important it is to understand social issues from the perspective of the people who are involved in them. There's a desire to want to see things through their eyes. There's a desire to want to walk in their shoes or do something that is as close to that as is humanly possible without actually being that person. Now, one really fascinating thing that I found about Snow and Anderson's research was something they called identity talk. This essentially refers to how the participants talk about themselves and how they talk about their lives. Snow and Anderson essentially captured the different ways that people made sense of their experiences and their relationships, and they noticed some key themes in how people talked about themselves, like trying to keep their distance from certain parts of their past, embracing other aspects, or even creating stories to make sense of their lives. They also paid quite close attention to how people's experiences changed over time. And they saw that the way people talked about themselves often depended on how long they'd been living on the streets. So Snow and Anderson, they weren't just looking at a snapshot of people's lives. They wanted to develop an understanding of how things had changed over time, how people's experiences had changed over time. They were considering the bigger picture, which is a key element of interpretivist research. So overall, Snow and Anderson's study is a real exemplar of research that's done within the interpretivist paradigm. Now, let's have a quick recap. Now, in this video, we've had a bit of a deeper dive into interpretivism, and we've likened it to the artsy creative clique in high school. Interpretivists are all about subjectivity. They're all about getting to grips with the meanings and the feelings that people attach to their own lives and their own experiences. So for them, reality is like this vibrant canvas of personal interpretations. And as such, it's incredibly different from positivism, which sees reality as this fixed, objective, concrete, stable thing. In terms of how they go about studying the social world, interpretivists immerse themselves within it, exploring emotions, stories, and meanings. They embrace qualitative methods like interviews and observations to unravel the layers of human subjectivity and creativity. And unlike positivism, which positions the researcher as the expert, interpretivists very much see the participants as the experts. They are the ones guiding the researchers to the answers. And lastly, we looked at an ethnographic study by Snow and Anderson, which very much embodies all of those interpretivist principles. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you've got any questions or thoughts that you want to share, drop them in the comments. Be sure to come back for the final video of this series in which I'm looking at critical realism. I'll see you then.